Hey guys. So first of all, don't judge the craziness of what's going on up here. Um, I just got out of the shower and I decided to let my hair air dry because why not? So anyway, I told you guys that I was gonna come back and let you know what we talked about in the first week of my phlebotomy class. So how my class works is we go one day a week for 9 weeks, and we go for 4 hours each week. So basically, today was just theory. We didn't do any lab or anything. So week one was completely theory. Basically, what we covered today was, all the basics of the first day of school, learning the rules and the code of conduct and going over the handbook and all of that good, boring stuff. Um, and then we also went over like what will cause you to be dismissed from the program and things like that, and costs for like if we choose to take the CPR class from the school, or if we already have the certification. Um, we talked about like places where you can work as a phlebotomist, like whether it's a blood bank or a hospital, doctor's office, clinic, whatever the case may be. We also talked about like traveling phlebotomists, people who work for insurance companies who go and like when you get life insurance or whatever and they need blood blood drawn, then they send a phlebotomist out there. It's called a mobile phlebotomist, I believe, or something like that. Um, so we talked about that. We also talked about people who work as phlebotomists, basically just traveling to different nursing homes, drawing blood for them. We talked about like the cost of the NHA certification exam, which is the national certification exam. Well, it's one of the national certification exams for phlebotomy, but it's the one that we are going to take the last week of class. So our certification exam is actually part of the program. Like our last class session is just our certification exam. So I like that they actually have that as part of the class. So basically, it's basically an 8 week class because week 9 is completely just NHA National Certification Exam. Um, so what else did we talk about? We talked about like how the instructor doesn't really like to teach from the book. She doesn't like to have people go and do reading assignments. She basically just has us like reference the book for certain things. And um, like for this week, because we have an exam next week already, um, there's like two tables of information within one chapter of the four chapters that we covered today. And that's basically all that she wanted us to reference from the book. Um, Basically, it's just talking about like different departments within the hospital and what type of patients you might find there, and being able to name like different areas within the hospital, such as like oncology, renal, med surge, cardiac, ICU, emergency department, things like that, basics. Um, and then also, we covered like negligence, malpractice, assault and battery. Um, what else did we talk about? We talked about quite a bit. And I'll be honest, like for the first day of class, to go over like the syllabus, the handbook, all the rules, and like cover four chapters, I was surprised that we got out early because we actually got out of class early today, which completely surprised me because we covered a lot of information. Um, so we also covered like different types of precautions, like the standard precautions, which is, gloves, hand washing, things like that. Basically, acting as if bodily fluids that you come in contact with, or everybody that you come in contact with, is sick with something, um, which is pretty much true if you work in a healthcare environment. Um, Especially a hospital. Most people don't come into the hospital because they're feeling well. Um, Although, if you work in a doctor's office or something, it's probably more like routine blood work. But, if you're in the hospital and somebody's in the ER and you're drawing blood from them, I would be a little bit more concerned with them being sick than somebody coming into like their doctor's office for their annual physical. Um, we also talked about like different governing bodies and regulatory agencies. We talked about like JACO, CLSI, and there was another one that basically it's kind of like JACO, but they only deal with the lab. So when they come into the hospital, they're only looking at the lab. They're not looking at any other areas within the hospital. They're only looking at the lab. Um, and then what else? We talked about assault and battery. Like I said, assault is like if you had a patient refuse to get their blood drawn and you said that if they didn't get their blood drawn, then you were going to have a coworker come in and hold them down, and you were going to get like the longest needle you could find or the biggest needle you could find and stick it in and get the blood anyway. Threatening them is assault. Like, the threat is the assault, the battery is actually doing it. So yeah, those are things that we need to know for our exam next week. She also talked about like projects that were going to be due later on in the course. She talked about like different expectations and reasons that she's dismissed students before, like for talking on the cell phone, pulling the cell phone out during class. So I won't be able to film anything during class, which I am very sorry, you guys. I was really hoping that I would be able to like at least get, me drawing somebody, getting blood for the first time or something like that, but I won't be able to do that because we aren't allowed to have our phones in class at all. So I apologize, you guys, but I will share the news as soon as I'm able to, okay? And sometimes the instructors do take pictures during class and they post them on Facebook. So, oh, excuse me. If they get a picture of me drawing blood and they post it on Facebook, I will share it with you guys on YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. So I'm just really excited and I'm looking forward to, doing something different. I was surprised by how many CNAs were actually in my class who said that they were feeling burnt out and they just wanted to do something different. Like, there were so many CNAs who had worked in the field for either shorter or around the same period of time as me, and they're just done. They're like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Because they got burnt out just like me. I'm just feeling burnt out with CNA work. Like, I love what I do and I love my residents at the facility where I'm at, but this type of work is just physically burning me out, and mentally it can be so exhausting. So I don't know. But anyways, that's pretty much the gist of what we covered. Oh, did I say that we covered like the precautions as far as like droplet, transmission based precautions like droplet, airborne, what am I missing? Airborne, droplet, oh, contact. That's what it was. So like the different isolations. Oh, and we also covered like consent, implied consent, informed consent, and expressed consent. So informed consent is basically like giving somebody information about what you're planning to do, and them trusting that you know what you're doing to do that procedure. Expressed consent is like if you tell the person that this is what you are going to do and they say okay, then that is expressed consent because they've actually said it. Implied consent is like if you go into the room and you tell Mr. Jones, hey, Mr. Jones, your doctor ordered some blood work and I'm here to draw some blood today, whatever. And he, lifts his arm up and extends his arm to you, that is, what did I say? Expressed consent? No, implied consent. Sorry, I'm getting all confused. This is the problem with working night shift, and like I was up for 27 and a half hours, almost 28 hours to try to do this class, and I worked last night and I got to go back to work tonight, and ugh, I'm just feeling bonkers. So anyways, I just wanted to make that video for you guys and let you guys know exactly what we talked about. We didn't really get into like any serious like phlebotomy stuff yet, other than just talking about like the places where you can work as a phlebotomist. Next week, we're actually going to do a little bit of lab and theory. We're going to be doing resumes and stuff like that. We're doing like mock interviews and stuff. And then we're also going to be practicing tourniquets on each other. I don't know if we're going to actually try to stick the arms, like, the fake arms, not each other yet. But I don't know yet. I'll let you guys know as soon as I do week 2. So I will keep these videos coming and I will let you guys know how it's going. And of course, if anything new happens to happen, I will let you guys know and you guys will be the first to know. Again, I do apologize that these videos are like way behind. By the time you see this, I will probably already be done with phlebotomy training, but sadly, I am just extremely far behind in posting my YouTube videos. So I do apologize. And with that, if you have any other questions, comments, things you would like to see, or topics you would like me to talk about on my channel moving forward, obviously when I transition into working in phlebotomy and kind of transition out of CNA work, my CNA related things are going to slow down a little bit. I do plan on working probably on a PRN basis as a CNA, but definitely not even part-time at this point, because I want something different and I need something different because, I just do. So anyways, this video is long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed. Look forward to week 2, and I'll keep you guys informed as we go along. So I will talk to you guys again in my next video.